So we're just finalizing getting every candidate a mic. I know that was hotly requested from last year, from the 3 people who attended, so everyone will have a mic this time. So. So as far as the structure for the event tonight, how it's going to work is each candidate will be given a minute to provide an opening statement. And that will just proceed from left to right across the stage in the order of the ballot. And, and after that, we'll proceed into a series of questions that both the committee has come up with and we collected in a form provided to the student body. We'll rotate through the moderators on that as well. And it will be whoever raises their hand first gets to answer first. That make sense? Cool? All right. Stand by. Check. So everyone have a good day. Okay. Ooh, I told this one in the Senate meeting. I got a thunderous applause. All right. You already know this one. All right, so everyone's heard of Murphy's Law, right? The idea if something can go wrong, then it will go wrong. All right, have you all heard of Cole's Law? It's thinly sliced cabbage, coleslaw. Don't do that. What was that, Becky?
That hurt.
You're fine.
Check.
All right. Shout out to our production department. Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate the help.
Go, Jacob.
All right, so at this time, proceeding from my left to my right, each candidate will be given 60 minutes once I pull out the timer on my phone. 60 minutes? All right, well, we're not doing a 6-hour-long opening statement in total, so 60-second opening statement. All right?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
As far as time limits goes, when you have 5 seconds left in each duration. Cool. Still short of that. 5 seconds left for them to answer, just raise your hand.
Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Abi, ABHI, and I'm an international freshman at majoring in computer science and one of your candidates for the presidential election 2023. And I'm glad that you guys showed up. Hopefully it's going to be a wonderful session with you guys. And if you have any questions, do let me know. I'm kind of nervous right now. Hopefully I get over the nerves. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming.
Alright, hello, my name is Becky. I am currently a junior majoring in industrial engineering. I have a management minor. I'm still nervous too, even though this is my second time doing this. I'm currently running for SA president again, and that is because there has been a lot of things that have been noticed this academic year and a lot of things that weren't able to be fixed due to the way SA currently has its processes and the way SA is learning a course. And the hope is that we can ensure that e-boards after us do not have to go through the same curve.
Hello. Hello, good evening everyone. I am Asta Pandey and I'm running for the next SA president position. As throughout my time here at UB, I've held many roles, be it from being a research assistant to an advocate for students in the media studies department to an SA employee myself. But throughout all these roles, my identity as a student has been at the forefront of it all. And as a student myself, I see myself asking, what does an ideal student association look like? What do students like me deserve? And something that Thomas and I have been working on is transparency. We hope to do that through communication. For example, be it faster PO orders, or what happens when the identity of students on campus is threatened. An example for how we hope to combat this is through bi-weekly town halls. And we want to hold these because these are sustainable options that will help us create communities and hold ourselves accountable. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Thomas Diaz. I'm running for Vice President of SA with my running mate Asta. And I want to assure you that as your Vice President, I will give the needs of students and clubs my full and undivided attention. We want to keep communication lines constantly open. And like Asta said, on the first day of our time in office, we want to schedule bi-weekly town halls where any student can come in and give complaints and suggestions to us and know they will be heard. We want to attend our own SA Club's meetings regularly throughout the year, listen to them, and work tirelessly on the inefficiencies that they present to us. We want to bring back the advocacy portion of SA, a portion of SA that has real and tangible power, and one that we believe has been neglected over the past few years. Additionally, it allows us to connect to students who are not involved in clubs. And finally, if there's one thing that cannot be taken away from Asta and I's campaign, it's that we speak to clubs personally and nonstop. And that is how we developed our platform, and that's how we want to run SA. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy. I'm currently the SA Vice President, and I want to rerun next year to be the SA Vice President, and I'm running with my running mate, Becky Paul Odenheim. So basically, our platform this year is a continuation of what we've done and what we ran on last year, but with the knowledge that we have now. I think one of the biggest weaknesses of SA as a system is the fact that your leadership changes every year, and that's just a part of being in college. Everyone runs as a junior, they're a senior, they graduate. So we have a unique opportunity here where we are already past that learning curve of being a new SAE board, and now we can take what we learned to further improve upon our systems. And we're gonna do that through supporting club needs, by meeting with them. We're going to do that through advocacy, through building relationships with UB, because not everyone knows this, but SA is actually not a part of UB at all, and you need that relationship with the administration and those departments to be able to establish what we want to do. So I look forward to sharing that with you all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Unti and I am a junior majoring in biomedical engineering. I'm really excited to be running for the position of SA Treasurer because I believe that every penny of the $109 of undergraduate mandatory student activity fee that you pay should be made worth of, and I want to make sure that there is a financial system in SA that works on improving that as well. I also want to make sure that the process for student clubs and organizations is improved. Especially, I know that SA has been working on this for the last year, and I want to work more on that so that you can have a smooth process of submitting proposals and getting the funding that you need for hosting the programs. I'm really excited to be looking forward to this position. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. So we're going to proceed now into the questions for all candidates. So these first questions will be for all candidates, and later on we'll proceed into various questions specifically for president, VP, treasurer, and then a fun lightning round at the end. So, yeah. All right, so this first question, 60 seconds to respond for anyone looking to respond. What is your current involvement with the Student Association? Raise your hand to go first. Bueller. Whoever wants to go first, raise your hand, please. All right.
Okay, so right now, as I said 5 seconds earlier, I'm the SA Vice President. What I do with SA is that I advocate for the needs of clubs and work with other departments on campus to ensure that those needs are met. An example would be like our sports council. So we have to very much so collaborate with the athletics department at UB because UB has their own Division I teams and stuff like that. So sometimes like our clubs as recreational clubs maybe don't get prioritized as much as our D1 teams at UB. So an aspect of that is just reaching out to athletics, establishing a good relationship with them so that in the future we can get the resources that they are providing to our clubs. And it's also supporting Becky in other initiatives around campus. One would be like the menstrual product initiative. SA actually stocks the menstrual products at SU. So a lot of that is reaching out to the Dean of Students, working with the university rep to just make sure those things like that happen.
Okay, hi. I currently am the SA president, and most of that just really involves doing a bunch of the generalized extra stuff and dealing with staff, because the vice president usually deals with clubs, the treasurer usually deals with the finances, the president usually deals with everything else. And right now, the major thing that has been worked on is dissecting all that, like the information that I got from everyone last semester has already been dissected. What we're working on now is making sure that there are plans in place to be implemented, hopefully at the start of next academic year, for everyone's lives to be better. One of those is EBOR training. I think it is kind of ridiculous that we end up in this position. We have so much power once you run and you win, and there is no support for you to be able to run the organization. And so you end up learning throughout an entire semester. By the time it's the next semester, you're like, oh, now I can see what it is I can change, and there's really not enough time to do that, and it just leads to a lot of inconsistency. So, yeah.
So I mean, I would just say my current involvement in SA is that we're running for SA Vice President and President. And as we mentioned before, for the past month, we have been speaking to clubs constantly. We have been going to their meetings. We have been talking to them, going to their tabling. And the whole time, especially at the beginning, it was all about listening to them, hearing what is it that you're experiencing? What are things that are good? What are things that are bad? And how does everything work? We think that in a lot of cases, it's the clubs that if you want to learn about SA, you just need to talk to the clubs. They're the ones who know how things work the most, sometimes even more than SA employees themselves. So that's what we've been doing this whole time. And additionally to individual students, going around Capon, doing interviews with just students sitting around, asking them, what are the problems that you're experiencing? And what could SA do for you?
So my current role at SA is I work under the Student Affairs Department as the Assistant Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity. In the words of our Student Affairs Director, part of my role really heavily works being in the midst of students. The way our department works is that we don't expect students to come to us. We very much want to be in the crux of where everything is happening. That's how a lot of our advocacy efforts get started, by direct communication through students. For example, some of the things that we've worked on, or I've worked on through my department has been creating mental health events, especially during midterms when stress is at an all-time high. Menstruation products has been at the top of my policy points of interest since the beginning of the semester, and thanks to our department, we've been working on initiatives with that, with the current e-board as well. So be it talking to students, be it using those words, that's what we do. Thank you.
Although I've not been directly involved with the SA office, I can say that I've been part of it since I've been participating in all the events that they organize, and I'm also a president for the Nepali Student Association. And keeping that in mind, I have been part of the club structure. I am a student who takes part in the activities, which makes me a part of the SA itself. And on top of it, I've been going around asking people about their problems as well. I've been holding individual sessions like them. And I got to know a lot of things about it, and I've mentioned about in my campaign as well what I'm going to be bringing changes and what I think would be betterment for everyone. And on top of it, I'm also working to better improve the system, the club structure that we have, and that's all. And thank you.
So I think that we are all a part of SA in one way or the other, being a part through a club, being a part by participating in any event, and as somebody who is part of a lot of clubs, who's actively taking part in a lot of events, I think I've seen what is happening in clubs and organizations, and that is my experience right now in SA. I feel like that is something that I really want to expand on in the future as well.
All right, thank you all. So the next question that we have, and again, another 60 seconds for everyone willing to answer this question, or who wants to answer, excuse me. What do you see as being the most pressing issue within SA, and how would you work to address it?
I think the most pressing issue within SA is that the student body doesn't see SA as, it is very much so like government. And our generation, in regards to their view on government, that's kind of reflected within student government. And there is a huge divide between SA and just the student body, when in reality, like what Unai was saying, all students are part of SA if you're an undergraduate and if you are at UB. And I think that issue is something that every e-board has been taking steps to tackle. And what we've been doing is basically just talking to students. In the beginning of the semester and then throughout last semester and this semester, we've been sending out feedback forms to students, just kind of asking them hey, what's up? What can you do wrong? A lot of our platform right now is built off students. One would be WEPA print money. No one ever thinks about that, but a student express where is her WEPA print money going after it's done, and that's something that we've built into our platform.
I think a pressing issue that is also not often, addressed, that is also playing a part right now in this table, is the fact that a lot of times we do a lot of research, a lot of talking, a lot of getting the information, and there's not really a lot of action to it, because to get all that information takes a lot of time, and by the time you get to the end of it, it's okay, I have all of this, but there's no implementation currently. I also do agree that students feeling as though SA is separate from them and their student college experience is also an issue that exists, because people are less likely to trust what it is that SA is attempting to do. And of course, criticism is absolutely welcome, and you're supposed to express your views and opinions, but sometimes people focus directly on criticizing as opposed to understanding how it benefits them and later on. I also do agree with like Sammy's point, and like we've been talking to students. We've been talking for like over a year now, and our campaign is certainly viewed up on that.
Yeah, I would say the most pressing issue of SA is, as we mentioned before, we think that communication is the bedrock of SA. It's what makes sure. Well, let me put it this way: we are the student government, and we are hired by the students to serve the students. And so, if we're going to serve the students, we need to constantly be in the midst of the students. We need to talk to them and hear what exactly they are experiencing, get into their shoes, understand. What is it that you feel? Why is it like this? Especially students involved with clubs, e-boards who are trying to put on events. What are they experiencing? What are they going through? What are the things that are top of their mind of their UB experience? Because then, from that, we can come up with ideas that will actually address what the students themselves want, because that is our job. Our job is to serve the students. And again, getting closer to them and becoming in the midst of them, that's what we should be doing.
Talking about the problems in SA, I believe that people don't really understand what SA is. That is quite a big problem in itself. Questioned a lot of people about what do you know about SA, and they barely give me any answers. Someone even came up to me and like, is it sexual assault or something? Which is crazy. But like I said, there's no unison between SA, student body, and there's a lot of tension between the clubs who directly work on that, who directly are under SA. So I believe the lack of communication and lack of implementation of their plans, their policies would definitely been hampering the relationship that they have built with the students and the clubs, substantially decreasing the amount of trust that they have, the students have in the SA. That'll be it. Thank you.
I believe accessibility is probably one of the most pressing issues for SA. After our conversations from various peers at school, we've learned that UB is a massive school. There are a lot of communities on campus, and it is important that we're able to cater to them. We're able to bridge the gaps between not just students that are on campus but are commuting, and to be able to understand the various intricacies of the student bodies of the communities that form UB. Communication is probably the biggest and the most crucial way that we can bridge those gaps. So be it working with state government, accessing UB's administrative powers to probably access subsidized transport passes so that students can come over to campus and be a part of campus, and also students in UB can go to the greater Buffalo area and be a part of communities there. So I think really understanding what every community wants, talking to them, and doing what we can to make sure that everybody feels at home in this great culture. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I'll hand it over to Cameron. Thank you.
We're going to give you 30 seconds for the following questions. So for the first question, if elected to your position, what steps will you take to instill trust in the student body?
So something that has already been started, even though we had a really low turnout, which was expected, is having town halls. We had a town hall initially, something I've been told consistently by Sammy, and sometimes by the staff, and sometimes by just students, is I need to take people along sometimes, because I mentioned already how I did all those feedback forms, how we got all the information, and I went up, planning out how to get these things done, but I left out a key component of having people come along. So town halls, monthly, sending out emails, yeah.
Yeah, similar answer. We decided that on our first day in office, we're going to schedule in this theater twice per month town halls where anybody can come. It's not about us saying what we've done for you. It's about you telling us what we need to do for you. It's about listening. So that's our big thing. We don't want to be kings in a castle in the SA office, and we want to be accessible. We want people to know when they can talk to us and that we will listen to them. And that's a huge part of our platform.
I think something we've worked on during our campaign period has been being in close connection with our students, and especially club members that create communities for students. So I think establishing trust will require us that we properly schedule those town halls and make sure that we're regular. But in addition to that, we want to attend these club events. We want to be where activity is so that they see that we're involved and that we truly care about the effort and time that they put in to make sure communities on campus are heard.
Well, in an effort to increase student engagement with the SA, I would definitely be going around and being a part of the SA events itself, so people understand the values and the work that goes behind it, and so I can personally see as well like how it's going on, how the problems that they're having, if there's attendance issues, if there are like not many people attending it. And one of my major things about my campaigning was having 2 or more clubs collaborating with each other to come together and bring more students to participate in the events. Thank you.
I feel as a treasurer, to build trust, I really need to show people the financial reports, which are still available readily, but a lot of students do not know about them. So I feel that adding that value where I can tell students how their money is being spent, give clubs the receipts of whatever they're spending is something that I would really like to do and to build trust.
Thank you, candidates. Next question. How do you plan to make this campus safe for all students, including students of color, LGBTQIA+ identifying students, and other student minorities?
Yeah, we think this is simple. We go to the communities themselves. We have clubs on campus. We have LASA, BSU, Disabled Student Association, PSA, MSA, Islamic Relief, all these clubs that represent all different kinds of communities on campus, and we've spoken with all these clubs I just listed and more. If we want to know what to do to make them feel more included, we go to them, we develop a personal relationship with them, we listen to them, what their problems are and what they think we should do about it, and we do it.
I would say with my experience as VP, a lot of these communities have reached out already and expressed to me the problem, so the next step would be action. An example would be like a club, Muslim Student Association, recently reached out with some concerns about the room they use for prayers. And right now we're in the process of reaching out to like the Dean of Students, to administration around school, to figure out what we can do to protect them and just to allow them to be safe to observe their religion. And then also just like identifying groups that are not represented. Like, can I finish my sentence? Like neurodivergent groups. No one even, yeah.
I think Thomas did a good job of really encapsulating what we can do to make these communities safer, but in specific, for example, we spoke to the Disabled Students Association, and they shared that something that they want is physical spaces on campus. We also spoke to certain communities like UB Prism, who shared that something that they would like to be advocated for is faculty taking into account mental health and how that can be important, and this we mentioned during syllabus week. So by talking to all these communities, we want to ensure they're heard. Thank you.
So talking about how to make a campus safe, I believe as a SA president, you have to be a great listener. You have to go around and ask them what's going around the campus, what's impacting them. And one of the things that I was campaigning about would be how there should be no divisions between all of those minorities, how there shouldn't be any kind of issues in between them. So my plan would be to definitely be a better listener and communicate with them properly and act on it quick.
So I'm mentioning an example of what we're currently doing for some clubs who, for individuals who fall under these categories, with MSA in the prayer room. Something else that I do think that would be helpful is to ensure that the university departments whose sole purpose is actually to do these things, like the IDC, collaborating with them more, joining them to ensure that events or just spaces that people need are had. Because that's the best thing we can do as like SA president, like EBORD members, really.
So I believe that like all of these things that they said, that all of them are really important, like ensuring physical spaces on campus for disabled people and even prayer rooms have proper amenities. So all of this really needs money to be implemented, and I feel that allocating money in the right way is very important to make sure this is implemented, and I want to try to do that. And also, as Becky said, I want to ensure collaboration between different organizations so we can get the funding that we can use to implement these solutions.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to be, the next question, the next set of questions will be asked by Brennan McCormick.
Yes, they will. Okay, so my first question for you candidates is, sorry, 1 second. Okay, so how do you think a lack of continuity has impacted SA, and what steps do you plan to take to address it?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Lack of
Yes. So the question is, how do you think a lack of continuity has impacted SA, and what steps do you plan to take to address it? Okay, Thomas.
Yeah, lack of continuity, administrations changing each year can be difficult for clubs because of the different styles of government that each administration has. And one thing that we really want to do is include a transition plan. I don't want to, if we are lucky enough to get elected, we do not want to leave our successors in the dark. There needs to be a transition plan where we introduce people to e-boards, we introduce people to students, leaders of departments on campus, and we want to talk to them, and we want to share what we've learned to the next e-board, and that's very important for us.
Thank you, Thomas.
The lack of continuity in SA was evident when I first got into the position. There were a lot of issues when I was speaking to clubs that they brought up in the previous year, and they kind of just got dropped off or like lost. And that's a problem because the stuff that Becky and I are working on right now is beneficial to the clubs and the students, and we do want that to be passed on. That's why we have things like mandatory e-board training that we are working on right now. That's why we have things like putting all of our documents, all of our club issues in one place so that future e-boards are able to see what's going on, what we've already done, what we've tried already, and what we can do in the future. Because a lack of that was just left us underprepared.
Thank you, Sammy. Next, Becky.
Just to add on to what she said, a lack of continuity, oh my goodness, has also led to a lot of patchwork fixes because e-board members try to fix everything really quickly because they've got a short time, and then they end up fixing one thing here, and then it leads to a lot of other problems down the road. And just emphasizing on the mandated training, the reason why we're making it mandated is because we've heard stories of the past where e-boards beforehand had left notes for the new e-boards and been like, hey, this is what we've done, and the new e-boards have just been like, screw it. So we want to ensure that they are forced to do that.
Thank you, Sam. Becky. Yep.
I think in addition to the transition programs that Thomas previously mentioned, this has a lot to do with accessibility. We want to make sure that transition of power is effortless and that students that really want to work in SA are able to do that. So the obstacle of, the complex systems that SA is, we want to standardize those systems, and we want to make sure that, clubs, when they want to become, say, e-board members, they have manuals that they can follow. They understand how SA works, and we want to simplify all of that so that it can be passed through generations. Thank you.
Abdi?
Talking about the lack of continuity within SA, I believe it would be if I were to be lucky enough to get elected, like Becky mentioned, it's going to be difficult for me. It will take me a whole semester to figure out what's going on, and in the next semester when I plan to implement it, I can't really do it. Or it takes me more time than expected to get it done. So one of my major things would be to still be to give continuity to what they are doing. Instead of I will implement my own things. I'll implement my own agendas and ideas, but I'll still be giving continuity to what they have been doing because I don't want to disregard their work. Thank you.
I feel that the issue about lack of continuity is already started to being addressed. For example, the SA now has bookkeepers, which are ensuring management of the finances, and I feel like having a system and allocating the resources to people and the powers to different people and not just 3 people in the e-board would be something that could really help in addressing the continuity issue, because this problem is going to be every year when you have 3 new people come in or rerun. That's why I think giving powers to more people would be something that would be really helpful.
Okay, now our next question is, how will you ensure that the voices of all students are heard and accounted for? Okay, Sammy?
Simply just by listening to all the voices of the students, consolidating what the common issues are, and working with different departments on campus, because while SA is your student government, there's other departments on campus who have responsibility to students, being UB, and just working with them to ensure that we have a plan to make these students' lives better.
No one? Thomas?
We want to, as we mentioned before, town halls, listening to students, going to clubs, even while we're in SA, throughout the whole year, through all the semesters. Our campaign does not end April 4th. We want to keep getting to know the clubs on campus, keep getting to know the people on campus. And that's what we need to do, and we need to be visible. SA needs to be visible and out there. People need to start to learn about SA and to know us.
Okay, so by a show of hands, can you tell me how many of you know that the SA e-board does office hours? Like the treasurer does office hours, the VP does. That's very few of you. So I want to make sure that there are a lot of resources we still have currently where people can talk to us, and I want to make sure if I'm elected that people know that there are these resources available where each and every student's voice can be heard, along with the town hall and other opportunities that we will pursue.
I think in addition to hosting office hours and town halls, what's important is that we are again in the crux of where activity is happening, and that is by attending club events, by attending events on campus, and by hosting some of these events on campus so that we can communicate with our students. We can understand what issues they're experiencing and listen firsthand from the people that are experiencing these issues. So I think for us especially to establish trust, this is going to be important. Thank you.
Thank you. Talking about Talking about how people's voice can be heard, I would definitely be, like mentioned, I'll definitely be having an individual session with each and every one of the club members and club leaders and try to mitigate what the problems are and try to find out the solutions. And as I mentioned, being a president requires you to be a great patient listener, and I'll definitely listen to the problems and act quick on it. Thank you.
I haven't gone. Sorry. I definitely agree with Sammy that and everyone else that listening is great, but I also would like to add on something that has already been worked on and is currently being done is expanding our channels from which we listen. It's a lot more work for only 3 individuals unable to attempt to go to every club meeting, to attempt to talk to everyone. Utilizing the staff that we currently have, different staff have different majors, they have different circles, listen to them, taking in their concerns. Currently, I believe it has already been implemented that a department in SA, the outreach aspect of our department, go to club meetings and get that information from them, and just things like that. Just expand the web.
All right, and again, this is 30 seconds for everybody. What is one specific example of how you will work to advocate for students from low-income and marginalized backgrounds?
Not a lot of people know this, but Blue Table is actually a collaboration between SA and student unions. So that is a very underutilized resource on campus for low-income students. And right now we're speaking to the Dean of Students to better modify that plan and distribution of those resources to students, and just to add more funding to that program because not a lot of people know about it. So that's something that's on the top of my list right now.
As a low-income, out-of-state student myself, I personally understand how difficult it is to access financial aid, and after even talking to some of the students, I understand that the financial aid office itself can be very intimidating to talk to. Something that we want to work on is being that liaison, for students with these issues and the financial aid department so that we can guide them and help them access the resources on campus that are available for them and simplify these things so that they can, especially with the new tuition hikes, we want to make sure that we're there for them financially.
Yes, also something that was brought up briefly was our idea and our plan to work with the NFTA to get subsidized public transportation tickets around the Buffalo area. There's a lot of local low-income students that commute to school. Asta spoke to a student who spends, $400 a year on bus tickets, and we would love to get those subsidized so these low-income students can get to class and from class easier.
Something that SA constantly tells students is that SA is here to enhance the college experience, and I think something that is not often stated about low-income individuals is that a lot of times, in order to compensate for the fact that they may not have enough money to do everything, they take on roles that are very restrictive and don't let them explore in college. And so something that is being worked on, I think I would be an example of that because I am also kind of low-income. Right now, I don't pay for housing. I'm an AA, but there used to be a barrier before that. So just more things like that, getting rid of the barriers.
As everyone mentioned, I'm an international student myself, and there comes a money barrier, financial problems that could set me back from enjoying my college life to the maximum. And I feel like most of the local students feel the same way as well. And like mentioned, Blue Table, there's tons of resources where you can get help from, and I'm working to be the bridge between financial aid offices and better assist students in getting all the resources and make sure it's available to them. I would say accessibility is one of the key things that I would do. Thank you.
Thank you all. For those of you who are currently working at SA, what steps have you taken to ensure the change that you want to see comes about?
My biggest thing that I'm working on right now is just reworking how SA interacts with the Sports Council. So I've been meeting with clubs from the Sports Council for the past 2 weeks, and they've just been kind of sharing like common issues that they've been having because our processes for just all the councils are kind of standardized and the same, and the Sports Council does need some special considerations. So I've just been doing that with the Sports Council coordinator, Justin Barnes, and we are going to, on Monday, consolidate all the issues and talk to different departments on campus, such as athletics, to figure out a plan as to how we can improve upon these issues. And some of the things we already are doing at SA do improve on a lot of the issues, so I'm really happy about that, but I want to build upon that more.
From my personal experience, I think interdepartmental communication really needs to be worked on. I know that the Student Affairs Department works really closely with students, and I think we need to translate the things that they hear from their students into policy changes. So making sure that the e-board is in constant communication with the with the Student Affairs Department, so that the policy initiatives that they are producing are reflective of the students' wishes, the things that they've shared with the department, so on and so forth. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question again?
It was specific to working at SA, but I'm not going to stop you from talking if you don't want to talk. Or if you want to talk.
What's the question?
For those of you who are currently working at SA, what steps have you taken to ensure the change that you want to see comes about?
I mean, going along the lines of what Asta was talking about, what Asta's doing in the Student Affairs Department is she realized firsthand the within SA communication needs to be overhauled in order that people share information effectively, know each other personally. There's a lot of people within SA who do not know each other so well, and we want to make sure that they get to know each other, have a personal relationship with each other, and can share information very easily. And we especially want to do this in the finance department, which we believe will speed up the delivery of PO orders.
There's a long list, but I think something that I would say is a change that I'm glad has been put in is the semester updates that I've currently been doing. I think that is great because there's a lot of times when SA just goes on and on and on and does a bunch of stuff and there's no consolidation of all the actions that have been taken. So that is something that I think, that's something that I think I've done currently in my role that has been a change that I had wanted. It's better for communication because that's an issue people keep saying is had.
These next two questions are a little loaded, so if you get a repeat or anything, feel free to ask for it. In the past, SAE boards...
Are there still time?
Yes, 30 seconds. In the past, SAE boards have had a hard time upholding their campaign promises once they take office. What are some concrete, actionable steps that you will take upon entering office to make sure your promises are upheld?
So I'm already in office, and everything on our platform we're doing right now, we just want to continue doing it.
So a couple quick things. One that we've mentioned a million times by now is the bi-weekly town halls twice a month in here, SU Theater. Anybody can come in, critique us as much as they want, and we will listen to them. And the second thing is we want open communication and constant communication with the UB Spectrum. The UB Spectrum, it's our newspaper. It's their job to report on what it is that we're doing, and their job to write opinions on what it is that we're doing as well and ask students. So we want to communicate with them constantly and give them access to what we're doing.
In addition to what we've learned from the Spectrum, we really want to create a community at SA itself that holds departments accountable through regular meetings, through sharing the vision of each department and the e-board itself. In addition to that, having that personal relationship with the club members so they feel comfortable enough to hold us accountable when we've made a mistake or when or in an absence of work or progress. Thank you.
One of the major strides I think is to not make any false hopes and promises that are not within your reach. I'll definitely try to keep it on ground and try, as I grow, as I get into the position, try to figure out what's wrong and work on it. And one of the major strides that I plan on doing is definitely the clubs working together, the organizations working together to help out the community and create a sense of community with other people as well that don't want to be within a similar club. They all want them to enjoy the college life. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Many clubs, including sports clubs, have come forward about their difficulties in accomplishing their club purpose under certain policies and regulations. What steps would you take to address those concerns and allow clubs to accomplish what they set out to do?
I think my answer earlier just kind of answered that question. So to give everyone some background, all these sports clubs actually used to be under athletics. And once we became a D1 school, they kind of dropped the sports club, and SA was the one who kind of picked them up. And we are not really meant to hold sports clubs, and that problem has been evident, as you can see, like in the news and just with what I've been hearing from sports clubs. So it's important for us now to adjust our considerations and policies, procedures involving sports clubs.
I think this is also where transparency comes into play, since this is a new area for SA, establishing clear understandings of where we are in our progress with the clubs, with the sports teams, so that we can work together to create tangible solutions. And I think being on the same page is where this comes into play. So I think, again, improving our communication, making sure that the updates that we are experiencing in real time are also shared with them, so that we can move through obstacles together. Thank you.
Also, I would like to say that, in learning about sports clubs, especially from communicating with members and the e-board of the women's ice hockey team and hearing about all the difficulties that especially women's sports has been going through, that it is needed that there should be people in SA who are specialized with knowledge specifically about the sports clubs. They're significantly more complex, difficult to run and have complex structures, and we need people who are specialized in understanding them.
I just wanted to add on to, I guess, what Sami's already stated. She's been talking to sport clubs, which is great, but there are also other clubs that the generalized policies have also affected, not in a great way. Something that is already currently being worked on is taking away the additions, those patchworks that I mentioned earlier, the past e-boards had put in just to fix one problem that ended up causing more problem. Right now, what's being done is unraveling all of that and taking away the ones that actually have no merit, so clubs can have an easier time in getting what they need to do.
I just wanted to make a side note that I have to leave right now because a month ago I promised some students that I will teach some engineering physics. But I would be happy to answer any questions otherwise as well, and I look forward to serving in the e-board next year.
Hi, how's it going? So our first question is, as a student government, SA is legally required to comply with something known as viewpoint neutrality. What is viewpoint neutrality and how does it apply to SA?
Viewpoint neutrality is a clause under the First Amendment that actually all SA officers are trained upon when they first enter office. This basically stipulates that as a government, you have access to funding, but also you're an open forum. So because you have that sort of power, it's your responsibility to distribute funding in a way that is fair and has very clear standards. So just because a viewpoint is not accepted by the student body on campus, it doesn't mean you can't give them funding or anything. So that's viewpoint neutrality.
Yeah, similarly along those lines, it's important to remember that when we're working in SA, we cannot discriminate against clubs because we disagree with them politically or otherwise. Yeah, that's important to know.
All SA officer positions are very time consuming and require good planning and organization. What techniques do you use to stay organized and keep on track as far as timelines? All SA officer positions are very time consuming and require good planning and organization. What techniques do you use to stay organized and keep on track as far as timelines?
Well, I would say first, she's not here right now, but shout out to our campaign manager, Tenzin, who has been really, really wonderful in keeping us on track, especially with meetings, with all the clubs that we've been meeting with. So we use things like Google Calendar, Microsoft Excel to organize all these things. In addition, in terms of the time-consuming position, we are devoted to this position. We don't have our loyalties elsewhere with other organizations, other boards of other organizations, or other jobs. And so we want to make sure that our time is dedicated to SA.
I think previously I've had a 22 credit course load in addition to research position and internships. So I do know that I myself work well under stress, but like Thomas said, something to really dedicate my time and really give all I can to this position. We've discussed together to really forego of any other positions or that we're currently in, so that we can give all our time to this and dedicate every second, every hour of the day, just talking to students and working to benefit, working to improve as a whole. Thank you.
Something I want to mention is we are here because we want to be there and we want to serve you. And like they said, we are dedicated towards what we want to do and what we plan on doing. One of the things that I plan on doing would be definitely get the small tasks done first and subsequently work on the long tasks that takes a long time. And I would say time management would be a key factor here, and I would use definitely help with other members as well to make sure the work is going seamlessly and there's no setbacks that's going to put us back. Thank you.
As I'm currently in this time-consuming role, and an engineering major, I can share some of the things that I've actually been using that has helped my time management. Calendar, Google Calendar, I have it all color-coded. To-do lists, delegating tasks, lots and lots of whiteboards and Google Docs, and obviously enough sleep, because I think that's sometimes underestimated. So those are the things that have currently helped with time management in this role, and so far it's helped us be able to accomplish all the things that we have.
Same things, what I do with time management, but I actually disagree that you shouldn't be involved in other things just because you're SAE board, because it's important to get perspectives from other organizations and still live, as a student. People forget that your SAE board are students, and that doesn't mean that you have to give up other things. It is possible to do more things in SA, and it's important because there's other ways to advocate for students other than SA.
I don't have to go.
No, I just don't know. What are some weaknesses that you have as a leader, and how do you plan to address these in your role as an officer? What are some weaknesses that you have as a leader, and how do you plan to address these in your role as an officer?
I've noticed my weakness is when I start something, that is my child. And it's very hard for me to give up something that I started. So what I've been working on in this past year is just being able to utilize my staff and delegate more tasks to them and just trust them and believe in their ability to be leaders as well and be able to get the results that I want to get. So it's more of a team effort than just my own thing.
I don't know if I'm going to speak for you, Thomas, but something that we both learned during our campaign is that we're, trying to trust each other and trying to understand other people's skills and talents that we can, better and more efficiently work together as a team. So I think this goes hand in hand with trusting as well. I have certain skills and Thomas has certain skills, and I think understanding that in a much larger perspective in an organization is going to be important. So I think trusting and learning, for sure.
I already mentioned the weakness that I have as a leader earlier, which I'm already working on, which is taking people along. So I already mentioned how that's the town hall, the mid-semester updates, and right now I've also started ensuring that I can take the staff along too. And so from now on, I guess, well, it's already started, but continuing updating the staff on the things that are in the works, so people are knowing that changes are happening. It's not just like oh, you told me that thing 2 months ago, well, here it is now. So they are with the process the entire time.
One of my current weaknesses would definitely be me not being able to trust people fully. If I leave some work to them, I'll definitely be, they can do it, but I still have something in the back of my head that would really, really, really affects me on a long term. I just keep thinking about it. And being in a position where you're responsible for something, I believe you have to be accountable for it as well. So accountability comes with it, and I would love to test it out, teamwork, have other people work with me, and give out instructions that are proper. That's it. Thank you.
I'd say recently, especially as we've been going to lots and lots of meetings and trying to figure out the dates and the times for all of them, it's really hard to keep track of. And personally, my brain gets overwhelmed with these kinds of things. So what's helped a lot is that we've been able to trust our campaign manager Tenzin and work together and be in constant communication to try and figure out ways to keep that organized, to know which meetings are when and with who and where, and have a database for that, and we've been able to do that.
Okay, so we're going to move on to some position-specific questions. So these are, I'm going to call out specifically the position that answers these questions. I definitely need to explain it. All right. Candidates for president. These are also 30-second questions. What is your prior leadership experience?
I would say currently as well, I'm a part of the College of Arts and Sciences Ambassador program, which requires me to talk to a lot of new admins to Buffalo and explain to them how things work, and it also requires a lot of organizing capacity. So UB specific, that is something that is probably one of my leadership points. In addition to that, I have teaching experience, working with students, especially in low-income areas, and understanding their needs and being able to mold my skills so that I'm better catering to them. So those are some of my leadership skills. Thank you.
Talking about my past leadership activities, I would definitely mention starting at my high school. I was also a student body president, representative at our high school. And talking about, as of right now, I'm also president for the Nepali Student Association. And that sums it up, I guess. Thank you.
My leadership experiences, So high school was student body president. Also did this virtual enterprise thing where you actually run a company. Was CEO of that. Freshman year was RHA president for governors. Sophomore year, I don't really have any major leadership experience. Oh wait, I was an engagement ambassador. And then last year, junior year, this year, I'm currently SA president. Those are my experiences, and I've learned from all of them, and I've learned to be better at everything that I have to do from them.
Also for presidential candidates, do you have any prior managerial experience overseeing staff or employees?
Yes.
Yes, I currently do that. Yes. It's a different question. Sorry.
Yes, I currently do that in my role as SA president.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm like, trust me, I do have a resume. It's just the stress. I'm stressed. I would say, I've had plenty of experience working with kids, which has taught me how to better delegate tasks. In addition to that, however, in my school in California, I was part of the speech and debate team, and speech captain, which required me to work with my teammates and represent our school. And it also required us to better manage our time, prep with speeches, so personal attention, and things like that. Thank you.
Going back to what I was saying, I wouldn't say I have the managerial experience where I get to work, where I get to advise or like instruct people what they should be doing or what they should do. But I've had experience where I work with people and we basically just converse it, like what we need to do, and we work on it. I was also a cricket club captain back in high school. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the game, but that required me to be representing my school and collaborating with other teammates as well. Thank you.
We're going to switch over to the vice presidential candidates now. You guys will also have 30 seconds for each of these questions. What is your prior experience with SA clubs?
I was in SA clubs as a freshman and a sophomore, and I would attend many events from SA clubs. And then I became vice president, so I work very closely with SA clubs.
Yeah, I've also been really involved since freshman year with SA clubs, the debate society, theater club. I was also the founder, the vice president of a club. It doesn't exist anymore, but I was the vice president of film club, which was an SA club. So I do have experience on the e-board of the club as well. And this is not an SA club, but I have experience on the board of a school of management club as well, called the Equity Research Group, and also just speaking with clubs during our campaigns. That's a huge one.
Moving on to the next question. What do you see as being the role of vice president in the student association?
Yeah, as was mentioned before, the vice president in particular is assigned to being responsible for and communicating with and being close to clubs. And that is the center of our campaign. That's what we've been doing this whole time, nonstop for the past month. And so the vice president should be out there, going to club meetings, speaking to club e-boards and club members, being visible, people knowing who I am, and understanding their needs, understanding the needs for the events they want to put on, the troubles they're having, and also bigger events like International Fiesta, and listening to the clubs on issues like that.
So I think an issue with vice president is that the role can get muddled with other things sometimes. So vice president is also director of club services, and we've since changed that because if you're the vice president and the director of club services, you can't really fully focus on the club services department. So we've since split up that role. And also just with other things our club rated, such as International Fiesta, our international council coordinator actually coordinates that. But that's just one person. So also in our campaign, we want to do an IF committee to just better support. So we just identify how clubs have troubles and supporting them.
Thank you, candidates.
Okay, well, thank you all for your answers, and we have reached the end of our debate, but before you all leave, I'm sure that our voters in the audience want to know more about you and more about your experience on campus. So we have created some fast round questions where you will have 5 seconds to say one word or one sentence, okay? So the first question that we have.
Wait, hold on. Are we going left to right, boom, 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 or is this buzzer?
Just raise your hand, okay. Now, our first question is, what do you think is the best place to eat on campus? Sammy?
Au bon bon.
Okay. Thomas?
The Commons.
Ashton?
The Pan-Asian noodle place.
Becky?
I cook myself.
Oh, okay. That's great. I, for one, like Tim Hortons, but that's just me. Okay. Now, my next question, now we are in Buffalo, and Buffalo is known for what? Our wings. So, we want to know, do you like Duff's or Anchor Bar? We can go Sammy first again.
Barbell.
Okay.
My roommates will attest to this. We like Elmo's.
Yeah.
I'm vegetarian.
Okay.
I have no clue what those are.
Oh, Duff's is a wing service.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Buffalo wings?
Sure.
Have you had them?
I think.
You think okay,
I don't remember the place, but it's in Allenhurst, and I'm underage, so I can't drink.
No, it's like wings, not drinks.
I forgot the name.
Have you ever had a buffalo wing before, chicken wing?
I guess I've had it.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, well, if you haven't had a buffalo wing, our next question is not for you. Drums or flats? Sammy?
Flats.
Thomas?
Drums.
You know. You don't know?
Anything with bones?
Okay. Wait, with bones or boneless?
With bones.
Oh, okay.
Is that drum?
Both have both.
Okay. Now, describe in one word your interactions with geese on campus. Sammy?
Aggressive.
Thomas?
Quiet.
Becky?
Poop.
Happy?
Getting chased.
Oh, man. Okay, now we have one more for you. Describe in one word your campaign. Sammy?
Longevity.
Great. Thomas?
Transparency.
Stability.
Support.
Representation.
Well, that's all we have for you today. On behalf of the ENC committee and SA, we thank you all for coming. And great job with all of your responses. Voting starts on Monday at 5 o'clock? 12:01 on Monday, and it ends on Friday. So please vote for these great candidates, and I wish you all the best of luck in your campaigning next week. Thank you all for coming.